I would say that like in any crisis, there's always a silver lining. And as far as the corona is concerned, it's nothing different from any other crisis as well. So for me personally, it's definitely a lot of opportunities that exist. And as an example, you can take Zoom as an example. It's an application that was hardly known prior to the pandemic. And today it's one of the most widely used video conferencing software. And for them, obviously, the pandemic has been a great opportunity. They grew from a micro-cap company today to a multi-billion-dollar operation. So yeah, definitely there's a lot of opportunity that exists, and I think one of the greatest opportunity that's going to come out of this is the mindset of the people and how businesses will actually adapt to that, right? Remote working, all of those things is not just something during the pandemic, it's actually going to stay. Coronavirus, a vaccine for that, but besides that would be 5G. 5G seems to be an area that I'm very focused on right now, and we all know iPhone is launching next in November. It's the 5G enabled iPhone. But it's not just within the phone industry, but there's a lot of downstream industries, such as the chip manufacturers that produce the chip for 5G. There's going to be tower companies that are putting up towers to support the 5G. Applications that are going to actually empower 5G rollout. Those are the downstream opportunities that exist. It's where I'm kind of focused on right now. It depends. If it's going to be a stock, a company that's already listed, obviously there's a whole criteria of what I'm looking for in a stock, pretty standard what everyone else does. But when it comes to startup, I'm really looking at the people. I'm looking for businesses that are actually fulfilling a certain need, solving a certain problem. But besides just the idea, I really focus on the people behind the idea, as execution is really the key. So my focus usually is on the people before the idea itself. I started out of school running a business. So I would say my strategy is really a lot got to do with gut feel. So it's always about what I feel about the business, the idea, and the people behind it again. So there's really no set rules. I don't follow a certain doctrine for investing. I really follow what's in my heart, and I feel that if the business is something that speaks to me, and if the people behind the business are people that I could trust and I feel that they know what they're doing, then I'm pretty much open and to listen further, hugely. Being a founder, I've raised capital. I've been on the other side of the table trying to raise money. And now being an investor, I'm listening to pitch decks. And that gave me a unique perspective as a founder when I was raising money. It's not uncommon, sometimes you over pitch and you try to impress investors, sometimes you oversell. And being on that side of the table, I know that happens a lot. And now as an investor, I sort of pick that up quite often when someone is trying to oversell their product. But at the same time, I understand that that's a need. It's not easy raising money. So I try to remove the noise and try to look at the business more objectively instead of just the pitch itself. So that sort of helps me to understand both sides. Being on both sides of the table helps me to understand that. So Primus as a business has always been focused and developed by the partners. We are very partner focused. So all our growth strategies are around working with our partners. I would say 70-80% of our business comes through our partners. So our entire growth strategy is further enhancing through tools, products, services that actually help our partners to grow their business. So that has been our growth strategy up until now. It's been a decade. Going forward now, we're focusing a lot more on branding. So we feel that it's time now as a business that we need to brand ourselves and take our position in the market, in the industry. So that's the forward strategy going forward. Besides just focusing on partner acquisition, branding is the way forward now. Look, when you think of shoes, you think of Nike, all right? And branding stays, is long tail. When you don't focus on branding, very quickly people forget you. But if you focus a lot on branding, yes, you're not going to get immediate results. It's not instant gratification. But on the longer run, people remember you. People always buy products or buy services from brands that they recognize. We focus a lot on safety. We focus a lot on clients' fund safety. Simply because of the industry we're in. There are thousands of brokers out there and more popping out every week. There are a lot of bad actors in the industry as well. So we want to focus, we want to send that message that trading and doing business with FXPRIMUS ensures that your funds are safe and we are a safe place to trade. We do that through various ways. Segregating client funds, insurance, liability insurance, and a whole lot of other things that we put in place just to ensure that our clients are comfortable. And that's the brand, that's the area we want to focus and enhance more as a brand. I think GCC region is poised for growth in that area. The oil is not going to be around forever. And I think the governments recognize that. And you can see that through the various initiatives Dubai as a city has been doing. It's attracting a lot of tech companies, it's attracting a lot of venture capitals. And I think the rest of the region is starting to see that. And the recent oil dip has probably been a wake-up call to a certain extent. So yeah, there's a lot of growth perspective here. There's a lot of opportunities that exist, and venture capital funds and private equity investors are starting to come in. And there's also a nice, good size of a younger generation that's actually now coming up in this region. That's actually bringing in a lot of new ideas, fresh ideas that need capital. So definitely there's potential for growth. I think it's very important, in a position of leadership, I think it's very important to manage change. And in times like this, you have to change. The way you do business is changing. The way your customers interact with you is changing. So when you're in a position of leadership, if you can't manage change, you can't make change comfortable for your people, then that becomes a challenge in itself. Besides managing challenge that's already existing in the environment, you got to now manage the challenge within the business itself. So I think change management is very important in such times like this as a leader in the business. Yeah. Number one, you can't keep everyone happy, right? Just to qualify that. But we believe, I strongly believe, and my team strongly believes, that people don't leave jobs, they leave toxic environments. And when you're going through a change, whether it's a technology change or you're changing your products or whatsoever, there's going to be a lot of discomfort, and there would be an environment where it's going to be sometimes toxic. And I think it's very important to communicate and keep that openness, and to make sure that your employees and everyone in the company understand why that change is taking place. It's always communicating the fact that it's going to be uncomfortable, you're going to go through this process, but we're going to come out at the end a lot better. And I think that needs to be communicated clearly, and everyone needs to buy into the change. And I think that's the key point. Now, if people don't buy into it holistically, that's where discomfort happens. Coffee. Besides coffee, I would I look at every day as an opportunity. I mean, the fact that you're able to wake up in the morning it's a great opportunity itself. And each day passes, you lose 24 hours, you lose a day, and if you don't do anything productive in that day, then you're really just flowing and going with the flow, right? So for me, waking up every morning is about looking at what's happening around me, what's happening in my business, what's happening around with people around me. And I guess generally I'm just happy being alive, and I'm happy doing what I'm doing. And when you're happy doing what you're doing, you're not really working anymore, so you wake up quite easily out of bed, with the help of coffee, obviously. It always starts with a need, I would say, that you start off with a goal and trying to achieve something. And when you go down that process, it becomes almost an addiction of wanting to achieve more, wanting to push yourself more, wanting to challenge yourself in achieving more. So it starts off maybe a little bit more difficult in the early days when you actually, entrepreneurship is one of the most sought after career, but it's also one of the most challenging, right? Because there's really no one around you when you're in need of help. You're the one making the paychecks. You're not the one receiving the paychecks, so it can be challenging. So if you're not driven by a strong goal, then it can be quite painful.